Happy Friday. I forgot what day it was for a second. Happy Friday, TGIF, all that jazz. This is the 11th day of, no, what? Is this only the 11th day? Yeah, the 11th day of February. I don't know why I thought it was later than that for a second. Anyway, the 11th day of February and the 30th episode of season 3 of the Be Your Own Hero show. So it's a milestone day, 30th episode. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's get into it. The hero in the title, the Be Your Own Hero show, is an acronym. It means helping everyone reaps optimism. In other words, it's a reciprocal action. As you help others, you help yourself. And that's part of my effort to uplift and inspire the unhoused community in general and people also. So my mission to uplift and inspire the unhoused community has grown and gotten bigger and bigger as the show has gotten bigger and bigger. So quick disclaimer, I'm not a personal trainer nor am I a financial advisor. So do your own due diligence, do your own research. Shout out to New Thought Media Network for allowing me the space and opportunity to talk about my journey of becoming my own hero. And check me out here Monday through Friday, 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time. And if this show provides any value, like, comment, and most of all, share. Make a donation if you like. All the information is in the show notes just beneath the show. Okay, so season 3 of this show, of the Be Your Own Hero show, is all about doing. It's all about being practical and making choices and taking action. And I hope that is what's happening out there in TV land. You guys watch me. I hope you guys are being able to find some things to do based on what we talk about here. So that said, let's jump into Hero Ministry Movement news. Shout out to the heroes in the chat. Thanks for checking in live. Shout out to Tim. Yo, if you guys haven't seen Tim's Throwback Thursday pictures, you need to go check them out. Tim was lifting all kinds of weight. Tim was back there bench pressing cars. You got to go check it out. Shout out to Ben. Appreciate you checking in on YouTube. Watch it on YouTube. Appreciate that. Shout out to Linda from Colorado. Appreciate you. And shout out to all the people who are watching but aren't commenting. The only way I know that you're there is if you comment. So if I'm not ignoring you. If you comment, I'll shout you out. Appreciate it. Anyway, so today is day 256 of my run streak. 256. And I got a couple quick stories. So yesterday, if you watch my run report is on social media. If you watch my run report yesterday, you heard me say something kind of flip about the half marathon training. I was saying that I wasn't going to pay attention to the mileage for the days because the rest days were throwing me off. When I read rest day on the chart, it made me want to do much less. And that's true. But this morning, I looked at the chart and saw that my cohort ran 4 miles yesterday. And that's a lot more than what I ran yesterday. So I was like, okay, I don't want to get left behind. So my new thing is I'm going to follow the days. And on the rest days, right now, I've decided to run 2 miles on rest days, but a quick 2 miles, quicker than usual 2 miles. As I say that, maybe it'll be 1.5 to 2 miles. That'll be my quote unquote rest day. but I want to keep pace with the rest of the group. So all that said, this morning I ran 4 miles because yesterday the whole group ran 4 miles and I wanted to keep up. And that's why I was a little late setting up the show. I don't know if you noticed, but I was a little late setting up the show because it takes longer to run 4 miles. So I was running for about 45 minutes, which boggles my mind. I remember when I couldn't even conceive of running for more than 10 minutes. And now I just ran 45 minutes. Wow. By the way, definitely check out the run report today because I ran across a very interesting animal this morning. I don't want to give it away. So check out the run report. It's on TikTok. It's on Instagram. It's on Facebook. Yeah, it's out there. I posted it. And it's a very funny story. Okay, so let's circle back to the charity run. So charity run is moving along. We are still at 60% of the way to our goal. We were at 60 yesterday and we're still at 60 today. So I'm going to do some sharing today. I invite you to do some sharing with me. Again, we're just blasting it out to people, posting it on social media, trying to catch the attention of other people that might not have heard about it yet and see what that does. So as I mentioned before, the last few donations have been from strangers that I don't know. So, well, that's what a stranger is, but they have been from strangers. And so that means that the sharing has been working, that it's getting out there beyond my circle of influence. So yeah, keep sharing with me today. I'd appreciate it. Okay, so 30-day streak challenge. I'm adding something to my own 30-day streak. Well, what was my 30-day streak? I mean, the running, that was originally a 30-day streak, but we're well beyond that now. So I guess the running is my baseline, but what I'm adding is transcendental meditation. You've probably heard Reverend Melissa talk extensively about transcendental meditation. I caught the fever from her, and so I've already started, but I'm going to start my streak challenge from yesterday. So today is day 2. Even though I started doing it before then, I'm going to start it from a couple days ago. So that'll be my latest addition to me stacking my 30-day streak. So I hope you guys are doing well with yours. I think, is today Lovejoy's birthday? I think today is Lovejoy's birthday. If so, shout out to Lovejoy for her birthday and also for doing the 30-day streak challenge, because Lovejoy was out there in the cold and the snow in New York getting it in. So shout out to Lovejoy. Okay, so moving on to the envelope challenge. Where's my dice? Do my little dice roll. All right, $2. Move $2 from your checking account into a bucket, quote unquote, a bucket, like a savings account or a brokerage account. I think they're doing lawn work outside. I can hear it. I hope you can't, but I can hear them doing lawn work outside. Anyway, $2, move it from your checkings to your savings and accumulate that money to invest. I'm going to end up talking more about that today, because today is Free Flow Friday and I got some things to say about the envelope challenge. Okay, so morning Zen. As you know, if you've been watching the show, I've been reading the 4 Agreements. You don't know that I've also been reading the 50th Law of Power, because I haven't mentioned that yet. But I'm in a small reading group and we're reading the 50th Law of Power. So you may be familiar with the author Robert Greene. If not, he has written many bestsellers, one of which was called The 48 Laws of Power. The 50th Law of Power is a book that he co-wrote with 50 Cent, the rapper. That's pretty cool, right? So he'd already done the 48 Laws of Power, and 50 was a fan of 48 Laws of Power. They got together to write the 50th Law of Power, which is about 50 Cent and his rise to fame. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. And the only reason I'm mentioning it today is because these works are dovetailing together. They're commingling. And I love it when that happens, because it gives me the clear sense that there is a way, a specific way to view the world. There is a specific way to be successful in the world. There is a specific way to employ abundance mindset. I feel that way when all these various threads weave themselves together. So anyway, circling back, the 4 Agreements. I've mentioned the first 2. The first one is be impeccable with your word. And that's essentially be impeccable with your word to yourself, which is to say, be kind to yourself. Speak kindly to yourself all the time, all the time, all the time. Be kind to yourself. Okay, number 2, don't take anything personally, which requires willpower, which requires significant willpower. Don't take anything personally. Doesn't matter what it is. Don't take it personally. Just be responsible for you. Which brings us to number 3. I feel like they're getting harder. I feel like each one gets harder than the last one, because the third one is don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions. You know, I don't even need to say any more than that, because it's a difficult one. But I'm going to read a passage from the book about not making assumptions. Here we go. Don't make assumptions. Just saying this sounds easy, but I understand it is difficult to do. It is difficult because we so often do exactly the opposite. We have all these habits and routines that we are not even aware of. Becoming aware of these habits and understanding the importance of wait a minute. Yes, becoming aware of these habits and understanding the importance of disagreement is the first step. Disagreement meaning don't make assumptions. But understanding the importance is not enough. Information or an idea is merely the seed in your mind. What will really make the difference is action, doing. That's my sidebar. Taking the action over and over again strengthens your will, like practice, like spirit and practice. Just saying. Taking action over and over again strengthens your will, nurtures the seed, and establishes a solid foundation for the new habit to grow. Now, I know that was a mouthful, but I felt like I wanted to read it all so you can get a sense of it. It's about practice, it's about doing, and it's about, first of all, recognizing that you are making assumptions. A lot of times we make assumptions and don't even realize we're making assumptions. So recognize that you're making an assumption, and exercise the habit of shifting that. And here's a practical thing you can do, also from this chapter of the book. It says, have the courage to ask questions until you are as clear as you can be. And even then, do not assume you know all there is to know about the situation. All right, I'm gonna read that again. Have the courage to ask questions until you are as clear as you can be, and even then, do not assume that you know all there is to know about the situation. So, pull quote, ask questions. Don't make assumptions. When you feel yourself making an assumption about anything, ask questions to clarify, and that'll help. And even then, don't assume you know everything, because we see things as we are, not as they are. That's an old quote that's been bandied about for many eons, I think. I don't know how old that quote is, but it's one that really resonates. We don't see, all of us, we don't see things the way they are. We see things the way we are. In other words, whatever happens out there in the world, we see it through the lens of our life experience, our past, all that, and that colors how we see it. Okay, so that brings me back to the 50th law of power and how there's so many things to talk about there. So I'm not going to say much, but I would just say that there were many points in 50's early life that seemed like there were insurmountable odds to get to where he is today. Well, they were insurmountable odds, but he was able to surmount them. Why? Because he was able to flip the switch of thinking of everything as a blessing in disguise. Even getting shot 9 times, he saw that as a blessing in disguise. And every time he exercised that muscle of seeing things as a blessing in disguise, that muscle got stronger. So anyway, here's a quote I'm going to read very briefly. People who cling to their illusions, delusions, and assumptions find it difficult, if not impossible, to learn anything worth learning. People who cling to their illusions, delusions, and assumptions find it difficult, if not impossible, to learn anything worth learning. So that quote is actually an amalgamation of James Baldwin, 50 Cent, and the 4 Agreements. I put that together. But the bottom line is, be clear about what you're seeing. Be as clear as you can be about what you're seeing, experiencing with the people around you and with yourself. Like, don't make assumptions, obviously, we talked about that, but also don't create your own illusions and delusions, which come from making assumptions. Be as clear as possible. Okay, so that's enough about that. It's a very interesting read, and I'm fascinated by how much these things are overlapping. Let's get into some abundance, though. Let's get into some abundance. So our quote, as you know, is, I am so happy and grateful to be a multi-millionaire in every area of my life. Once again, I hope you guys are saying this at home. I hope I'm not just saying it by myself. We're going to do it again. If you didn't do it a couple seconds ago, do it this time. I am so happy and grateful to be a multi-millionaire in every area of my life. That's for all of us. That's for all of us. Okay, and here is my second reminder with the new remix, the new phrasing. If you only spend, you'll stay poor. If you only save, you'll stay middle class. But if you want to get wealthy, you must invest. It's not optional. Okay, all that said, it's Free Flow Friday, and I said I was going to circle back to the envelope challenge because there was a comment in the chat yesterday from Robin. Robin asked a great question. She asked, how do we get started if we've never bought stock? And I got so excited when I read this question because that's what we've been talking about, right? But now, having stumbled and fallen and made some mistakes, I feel like my answer now will be much more concise than it would have been at the beginning of this journey back in season 1. So let's find out, shall we? Let's find out. All right, so here's my truncated, more concise answer to that question. First of all, I would suggest that, and this applies to everyone, by the way. I'm responding to Robin, but it applies to everyone. So first of all, find a link for Webull and Robinhood. Now, when I say that, I mean that Webull and Robinhood, which are both brokerage houses, have created this program where you get free stock. So if you find someone's link to sign up, as opposed to just going to the website and signing up, not only do you sign up, but you get free stock. So use someone's link. You're welcome to use mine. I have posted my Webull link and my Robinhood link on my Facebook page. But if you don't use mine, use somebody's. Don't just sign up. Sign up using someone's link so that you'll get free stock automatically. So, Webull and Robinhood. That's it. Next thing, open a brokerage account. That's what the prompts will lead you through when you use those links to open a brokerage account. So you do not have to fund it. I repeat, you do not have to fund it. Much different than bank accounts. You don't have to put any money in to open a brokerage account, which blew my mind when I first found that out, right? But you don't have to put any money in. But if you use those links, the Webull link and the Robinhood link, if you fund your account with any amount, you get more free stock. So I would suggest that you do that. Personally, I funded my Webull account with $10, so minimal money, and I still got free stock. So I would suggest that. So just recapping, find a Webull link, find a Robinhood link, use that to open a brokerage account, both of them, open 2. Fund the accounts with a little bit of money so that you get even more free stock. All right? Next up, once the accounts are set up, first thing you do is activate DRIP. Once again, the first thing you do is activate DRIP. What is DRIP? DRIP is an acronym for Dividend Reinvestment Plan. Dividend Reinvestment Plan. All right, what that means is when your assets, your stocks, kick off a dividend, when they hit their ex-dividend date and there's a dividend disbursement, if you have DRIP activated, that dividend disbursement will be reinvested right back into your asset, reinvested right back into your stock, which means your stock grows faster. So just for easy example, let's say you've got stock in this dice company and there's a dividend of $1 that's paid out quarterly. So every quarter, that dollar, instead of coming to you as a check, will go right back into the dice, your stock in the dice. So by the end of the year, if you held the stock for the whole year, you'll have an extra $4 in your stock, right? So that can appreciate very quickly, especially if the price of the stock is low. Like imagine the stock price is $1. I mean, that's, it's very unlikely that you'd have a dollar stock and $1 dividend, but just bear with me, humor me. So you got a stock price of $1 and the dividend is $1. If you have a share of the stock, every time there's a dividend kick out, if you have drip on, it'll buy another share of the stock. So you start off with 1 share, you end up with 4 by the end of the year. It's amazing that it keeps generating wealth on its own. So circling back, make sure drip is activated. Make sure drip is activated. Also, you don't want to create a taxable event by having the money come to you directly. So have drip activated. Okay, so next thing I would do is set up a savings account at my bank. My regular bank that I'm already using, set up a new savings account. And this is your bucket, your investment bucket. And I would get some dice. I'd get some dice, and every day roll the die in the morning, and whatever number it hits, move that amount into that new bucket, that new savings account. So that every day you're contributing to that savings account, but no more than $6 a day. And listen, $6 a day, that's what some people spend on coffee every day, right? So you can afford it. It's a small amount. Just move small amounts into that account every day. And every time you get funds, you get like a paycheck or people will send you money, however you get your money. Every time you get some money, also transfer. Let's go with transfer. Transfer 10% of that money into that same bucket. So this new bucket, this new savings account at your regular bank is getting money every day from you rolling the dice like a game show. And also it's getting some bigger amounts every time you get funds into your checking account. Every time you get some funds in your checking account, take 10%, put it right into that bucket. Right? So that bucket starts to grow faster and faster. Okay? Every time that bucket hits a certain number, let's just use an arbitrary number. I'll just pick a number. Let's just say $250. So every time that bucket hits $250, move that money into your 2 brokerage accounts. So right now, in this example, we only have 2. We've got Webull and Buffett. So split it down the middle, move the money into those 2 brokerage accounts. Every time your savings account bucket hits $250, move it. And that money, those 2 brokerage accounts will grow. And by the way, you can leave money in your brokerage accounts like a savings account. You don't have to have it invested. It can just sit there. And it earns interest while it's sitting there. And usually, in almost all cases, the interest that it earns in a brokerage house is more than the interest it will earn in your savings account. So it does not hurt you at all. It helps you, in fact, to move money over to that brokerage account and let the money sit there. So move the cash over, move the cash over, move the cash over, build the bucket up, move the cash over, build the bucket up, move the cash over, and then start buying index funds in both places, Robinhood and Webull in this example. Buy index funds in both places. If you don't know what an index fund is, it's simply a fund where there are a number of companies. Let's just use the S&P 500. That's the name that most of us have heard of and didn't know what it meant. I'm speaking for myself. I didn't know what it meant until recently. So the S&P 500 is a fund of 500 companies, 500 massive companies. Each of the companies in the S&P 500 has a revenue stream of about $40 billion per year. Like annual revenue, $40 billion per year. So massive companies. So by buying S&P 500, you get exposure to all 500 companies. And it's managed in that if one of those companies falls short or goes belly up or whatever, that company will be swapped out for another similar company. Right? So it's about the safest you can be in the stock market. So if you don't know any other index fund, get that one. Get the S&P 500. The ticker symbol is SPY. There's also VOO. VOO is Vanguard's answer to the S&P 500. It tracks pretty much the same companies, and it's a little less expensive than the S&P 500. Last I checked, S&P 500 costs about $500 per share. VOO is about $400 per share. So a little bit less money, about the same return. Anyway, I'm only going to mention one other index fund, QQQ. It was mentioned to me by one of you in the chat, and I checked it out, and I did get a share of it recently. I like the fact that it tracks technology companies, and technology companies are the companies that seem to be moving most aggressively towards embracing Web 3.0, cryptocurrency, and the metaverse. So, bit of a sidebar. Point is, build the bucket up, shift the money from the bucket over into these brokers' accounts. When that money accumulates, buy index funds. I've mentioned 3, but there's others. I've mentioned the S&P 500, VOO, and QQQ, right? And if that's all you do, you're ahead of 90% of the people out there in the world, even if that's all you do. And I'm going to remind you of something I said a while ago. Warren Buffett was quoted as saying that when he passes away, if he passes away before his wife, the way the funds will be allocated, all his wealth will be allocated is 90% in index funds and 10% in bonds. That's the whole game. That's his whole game. So you can't go wrong, or in theory, you can't go wrong with buying into index funds. And if Warren Buffett is going to trust all his wealth to index funds, you can too. And index funds do have dividends. So back to the drip. Make sure the drip is on so that when the dividend comes out, it'll be reinvested. Matter of fact, happy dividend day to anybody who has the S&P 500. We had a dividend kick out a couple weeks ago. So happy belated dividend day for those of us who got that dividend disbursement from the S&P 500. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's my new concise answer to what do I do if I've never bought stock before. That would be what I would do if I was to do it all over again. That would be how I went about it. And so I hope that was helpful to Robin, but to anyone else out there who's wondering, and to all of us, because any of us might have skipped over some of those steps. And I think it's important to review and figure out how we might move forward. So I know for me, I got caught up trying to pick a winner, trying to pick a small stock that was going to do well later on, an obscure stock that would just shoot to the moon. And I have been forcibly weaning myself off that idea and focusing on index funds and ETFs, anything that has multiple companies in it, because that reduces the risk and it's instant diversification. Instant diversification and reduction in risk. So anyway, I was also going to talk about like what we talked about during the week, but I kind of ran out my time talking about what to do, how to do this. So I'll just mention very briefly that we talked a lot about Shaq this week and the fact that Shaq currently makes more than $27 million a year. More than $27 million a year, which was his highest salary when he was playing basketball. And he was able to do that, able to set his finances up to do that by investing 75% of his income and living off of 25%. It's a painful choice early on, but it reaps benefits later on, because now he can basically not get out of bed and still make $27 million a year because he invested so aggressively early on. So that's a lesson for all of us. Okay, so we're out of time. I see there's a bunch of comments. I'll circle back. Once again, everybody go check out Tim's Facebook. Y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready. I was like, I got to get back in the gym. Anyway, keep doing. Be a hero. Be your own financial hero. Remember that now is better than perfect. And I will see you Monday. Later.